Hello, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode, video. Not quite sure, an video, I guess you could say, of Let's Talk But No Politics. Okay, and I'm bringing back This Week in History Review. If you are a part of my Facebook page, you know every day that there is a This Week in History, whether it's a movie opening, a TV show premiering, a birthday, something in the pop culture nostalgia realm there that really helps, and I want to bring it back. This pop culture, Let's Talk But No Politics, okay? This week in Pop Culture History Review. I did it there for a while. I did it for Helium, and I did the videos, but I want to bring it back. And you can catch me every Friday, 7 p.m. on Helium Radio Network, as well for my other podcasts, for the same one, main episodes, every Sunday on the BICBP Radio Network, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. So I want to bring back this Week in History Review for some more pop culture nostalgia content for my channel, because that's what it's pretty much based on, is pop culture and nostalgia. So without further ado, let's get into this. So let's start with March 29th. March 29th, Hulk Hogan defeated Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. That is a pretty impactful thing for any 80s child or somebody who grew up in the 80s. You know, Andre the Giant is larger than life. Super big. Whenever I do a wrestling topic, Andre the Giant gets brought up. Pop culture athletes, Andre the Giant gets brought up. Same thing with Hulk Hogan. It just goes hand to hand. You can't have one without the other. It's milk and cookies. Whenever you talk about kind of that 80s wrestling era, in WrestleMania 3, he slams Andre the Giant, which was, I'm doing air quotes, was for the first time technically in the eyes of WWF, WWE, but it really wasn't. He slammed him a couple times before, but this is a monumental occasion to watch this evil Andre the Giant get defeated by the American hero Hulk Hogan after the whole Piper's Pit thing, where he rips the cross right off of Hulk Hogan. So very impactful, very cool. Probably one of my earliest wrestling memories is WrestleMania 3 as well. I don't know too many kids that weren't a big fan of wrestling in that late or mid to late 80s. You know, everybody had a favorite wrestler. Most of the time it was Hulk Hogan. But that was very cool. It was a monumental occasion. And on March 29th, 1987, Hulk Hogan defeated Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3. So March 30th, 1988, Beetlejuice premieres in theaters. Another one of those huge things. Beetlejuice starring Michael Keaton, Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, Winona Ryder. I cannot say enough great things. Actually, I'm kind of speechless thinking about how awesome this movie is. This was the first scary movie that I could kind of remember, where it was kind of scary, but then it was also kind of cool in the same light as well, where it was very comedic. Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is just over the top. You know, they're trying to get those people out of the house, and Beetlejuice gets called in, and he is still a pop culture reference today. in Ted 2 when things were getting rough and Ted was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to call him. And he's like, and Mark Wahlberg's character is like, don't you do it. You're messing with powers that you don't understand. So to this day, the whole saying his name, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not saying his name 3 times. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to try. At least I'm going to try not to. I probably will, and you'll probably catch me. And you'll be like, hey, you said you weren't going to do it. And then I end up doing it. But, you say his name 3 times and chaos ensues. It's just a great, fun movie. It's iconic. I know my kids have watched it. I enjoy it. Matter of fact, the other day I was at Walmart and, the kid picked it up in the little Walmart $5 bin and was like, Dad, what's this? And he's like, oh, it's Beetlejuice. It's a movie. And I was like, a movie? It's like one of the greatest movies ever. You better get it right. It's not just a movie. It's one of the greatest movies ever. And that is why, Beetlejuice is so amazing. But March 30th, 1988, Beetlejuice premiered in theaters and I think changed some of our lives forever. March 31st, 1999, in this lovely pop culture history, The Matrix premieres in theaters. I was a big fan of The Matrix when it came out. I think it was I a sophomore or a junior? I was one of those things in high school at that point. And for any kids, it's kind of mind-blowing. It's got that cool action sequences in it, very, very new to the movie world, to where it blew your mind, and the whole idea that, I guess it's probably been around, that we're all just in one big simulation, and there's a whole nother crazy world out there, and here we are, just trying to make it, and The Matrix kind of opened up our eyes to that it was so different, it was complex, it had you thinking. It was like one of the first movies where I was like, man, I need to go buy this on VHS. I remember watching it on the cheater box repeatedly, but it was so great. You take the blue pill, the red pill. Lawrence Fishburne, the iconic glasses that he wears with no side stems was absolutely amazing. The cell phone that just kind of like slid, like now it just looks like obsolete technology. And I can't say enough great things. Once again, The Matrix. When I pick these things to put up on Facebook, I like to find things that mean something to me, but something that I think will mean to other people as well. So I think that's what you get out of The Matrix, is it was such a mind-blowing affair. I wouldn't put it up there with Star Wars, but I can imagine people when they watch Star Wars for the first time was almost in the same boat as some people when they watch The Matrix. And March 31st, 1999, The Matrix premieres in the theaters and changes the way that we look at the world. April 1st, 1990, The Ultimate Warrior defeats Hulk Hogan to win the WWF Heavyweight and Intercontinental titles. This was a title versus title match. I remember watching this. Big fan of Ultimate Warrior. Big fan of Hulk Hogan. Once again, we're getting back into this is the 90s, but still classic. Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion. Hulk Hogan, the Heavyweight Champion, and they're going to wrestle to become this Ultimate Champion. It was billed as the Ultimate Challenge for WrestleMania 6 in Toronto, and the Ultimate Warrior comes out, beats Hulk Hogan, gets both titles, to become the heavyweight and intercontinental champion. Almost put intercontinental champion over heavyweight champion. Cannot do that. Cannot do that because that's what you gotta just go with the flow. So, but another iconic moment, just absolutely iconic. We're getting it. It's into April. It's WrestleMania season. I don't watch wrestling like I used to, but still, though, you get kind of pumped. I mean, even if you don't watch the Super Bowl, you get pumped for the Super Bowl because it's something. It's something there, and I gotta say, this is hands down one of my favorite moments as a child. Just watching these two guys go at it, not knowing who to root for. In wrestling terms, babyface versus babyface. Who do you root for? It was almost like a win-win situation for a kid, even though I was a little bit more rooting for the Ultimate Warrior with my Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy. Just absolutely love it. Just awesome. Just absolutely awesome. But April 1st, 1990, the Ultimate Warrior defeats Hulk Hogan to win the WWF Heavyweight and Intercontinental titles at WrestleMania 6. So moving on, we got April 2nd, 2004, Hellboy starring Ron Perlman is released in theaters. I gotta say I did not watch Hellboy in theaters. I wish I would have. I watched it actually, you know what? I could have watched it because I didn't ship off to boot camp until April 19th. So if anybody's wondering, I do not script these things. It's just pure sit down, go at it from the heart. So, and it was cool. I watched it once I got out of boot camp, came back home, and it was awesome. I loved every minute of Hellboy. Did not read any of the comics. I've never read any of the comics. I kind of wish I would have. But it was just awesome. Ron Perlman did an amazing job throughout it. I can't say. It's another one of those movies where you can't say enough because just the special effects is pretty amazing. But the weird thing is I prefer Hellboy 2 over Hellboy. I love Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. But if it wasn't for Hellboy, I wouldn't have never been so amped up to see Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. Abe is so cool in his way. David Hyde Pierce does the voice. And I've been watching some Star Trek Discovery, and can we give it up to Doug Jones, who played Abe in this movie? This guy spends so much time in this makeup chair putting on, prosthetics and everything else that he needs to play these characters, and yet he does it so well. So I just want to give it up to Doug Jones. Ron Perlman, of course, he had to sit there probably for a while doing the whole Hellboy thing. But just an amazing movie as it is. And April 2nd, 2004, Hellboy starring Ron Perlman is released in theaters. So let's just keep this going. We only got 2 more days left to do. And April 3rd, 1953, the first issue of TV Guide was released. Now, anybody my age, older, even probably some of the newer generation, TV Guide was really important. If you had a TV Guide, it was like you knew what shows was coming on. You didn't have to look at the back of the paper. I remember doing that, trying to figure out what shows were coming on. And TV Guide had crossword puzzles and everything else. Gave you everything you need. You circle a date. You could set up your VCR if you actually knew how to program a VCR. That's how far I go back with programming the good old VCR to, record a show. But you could do that with TV Guide. And you didn't have to wait for the TV Guide channel to scroll all the way through. Everything was right there for you. It's just totally, totally awesome. I love TV Guide. I just remember, I never had a subscription, but I remember every once in a while we get one, and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. what's going to be on at this time on this day, and you just keep on flipping through the pages. I think my grandmother did the crossword puzzles in the back of them as well. So, but the TV guide is one of those things that we don't really need anymore. It was such a great invention to go along with the television, in 1953. And we used it for years and years and years after that to tell us what was on, what channel was on, what time it was going to come on, and maybe even a little synopsis about it. If it's going to be a rerun, I remember looking at that. And it's just such a huge, iconic thing that we don't have anymore. That's kind of just obsolete, gone by the wayside. Don't really need, because we have guides right into our TV, or we stream. We stream everything. So the TV guide, though, I believe will have a place in anyone's heart that is post guide on the TV era, or TV guide channel. But even like I said, you scroll through, you're gonna miss something. But with that, April 3rd, 1953, the first TV guide was released. So here we are, the very last day, and April 4th, 1994, my man, the coach, Craig T. Nelson, is born. Craig T. Nelson, as coach, was awesome. You didn't see any football action, but Coach was such a fun show to watch. Growing up, I remember when they did the whole expansion team and he moved to Orlando to coach the Orlando Breakers. But to watch Coach, and then you see Greg T. Nelson now, he's in Young Sheldon. I can't think of... Craig T. Nelson is I think he's an amazing actor. Some people may want to correct me. You could correct me, but in my mind, Craig T. Nelson is pretty awesome. From Coach to his role in Young Sheldon, and then what was it, The Family Stone, I believe he was in. He played a great role as the father in there as well. I've never heard anybody say, "Ugh, can't stand Craig T. Nelson. Get him out of here." No, because we all love Craig T. Nelson. Everybody loves Craig T. Nelson. And like I said, I first knew Craig T. Nelson as Coach, with, who is that, Jerry Van Dyke, guy that plays Dauber and now is the voice of Patrick Star on SpongeBob. How fast things have changed. But that's what I remember about Craig T. Nelson, is he'll always be Coach to me, and he'll always be Coach in my eyes. So, I guess happy belated birthday to Mr. Craig T. Nelson, born April 4th, 1944. And once again, thank you all for listening to this Let's Talk But No Politics Okay presents This Week in History Review for the week of March 29th to April 4th. Thank you for joining me, and remember to catch bonus episodes every Friday, 7 p.m. on Helium Radio Network, and catch main episodes of Let's Talk But No Politics Okay every Sunday on the BICBP Radio Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and I believe I'm also on Google Podcasts now. And with that being said, I just would like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good night.